everyone. Welcome to Voices, being brought to you by Radio Zindagi, a regular show for the community here every Thursday at 12 o'clock, where we address all the hot topics, your concerns and your questions. Allow me to first begin by thanking Radio Zindagi team, of course, my favorite RJ, Ira, Seba, and Neeraj, who are always giving us this opportunity to address important, critical issues for the Bay Area. Today's topic of discussion is, of course, nepotism, the topic of interest all over social media, especially after the passing of the very talented and brilliant actor, the late Sushant Singh Rajput. So I would like to begin by first offering my condolences to the family, because the sister does live here in the Bay Area. So we're all extremely sad and upset at hearing at what happened. Millions of people around the globe, including myself, have been going nuts, posting, reposting, sharing theories, going on YouTube to figure out why Sushant would have committed suicide. Actors, friends, and even tarot card readers have now been posting opinions, and that too, very strong opinions and theories about the possibility of murder, or was it suicide? The main reasons that have emerged from all of this has been that one word that suddenly everyone is talking about, which is nepotism. So before we begin the session of nepotism, what is nepotism? It's a practice, if you look at it on Wikipedia and of course the dictionary, it's a practice amongst those with power or influence or favoring relatives or friends, especially by giving them jobs. In other words, favoritism, preferential treatment, and keeping it in the family. And this is in particular applicable to fields such as business, politics, entertainment, media, sports, and religion. We all know that nepotism is very prevalent in Bollywood and politics, but not only in India, but even here. I cannot speak about Bollywood, but I have some wonderful panelists, guests today that will address that. But I have experience of nepotism right here at the political level in this city in Fremont. And I'm going to voice my opinion on that today as I begin the show, because I know I won't be allowed to say anything afterwards. But you simply turn in a planning application to the city of Fremont. And let me tell you, the favoritism is so biased and based on the nationality people who accept your planning application at the counter. It is appalling to see how business owners are treated, and that's a horror story in itself. I hope Neeraj gives me a chance to address that one day. So moving on, let's meet our panelists. We have an amazing group today that's going to share their personal views and experiences on nepotism. Please note, guys, this is our personal views, and whatever we express about nepotism is our own experiences and opinions. So we don't want to offend or insult anyone. There has been no conclusive evidence brought to light about Sushant. I really don't want the show to be about Sushant, because that would really hurt a lot of people today in the Bay Area. So let's try and avoid that. But do go on our Facebook and post all your opinions and comments. On that note, let's begin our show. I'll, of course, always bias towards young ladies. I'm going to begin by introducing my lady panelists. We have, of course, with us first, Ina Sarkar. She's the founder and CEO of Women Now TV, a company that focuses on inspiring the South Asian community to express themselves, have a voice, and connect with the audience in the US. Under her leadership, Women Now has expanded to hosting shows on national television and organizing events that bridge India with the USA. Ina and I go back a long time. So
thank you, Renu.
She's kept her dark color hair and I've gone gray, but welcome, Ina.
This is the lockdown hair.
Long-term hair, good. And then on the next note, we have another wonderful guest, Nazneen. She's an RJ with Radio Zindagi. And welcome, Nazneen. You hear her all the time on the radio.
Hi.
Hello, welcome to our show. Now let's move on to our gentleman guests. We'll go to India. Amitabh Mohan, founder of HSL India, is a celebrity psychologist, a life coach practicing in India since 1992. He's an avid Rotarian. I'm from Lions Club, sorry. But anyway, he has been burning midnight oil to help extend helping hands and counseling to people in these distressed times of increased stress and depression in the light of COVID, and he is here to share our views. So welcome, Amitabh, to our show.
Thank you so much.
And then, of course, we have another wonderful RJ from Radio Zindagi. We have Ekansh Bhatnagar, who was also with me on the show last week. So thank you for joining us. And last but not least, we have Sunny Moza, who I remember vividly when he was a young boy, perform on my shows many years ago, many moons ago. Since then, Sunny is an actor, MC, RJ, stand-up comedian, worked in many TV serials and 2 feature films. So that's our group today. Welcome, Sunny, and welcome, everyone.
Thank you, Renu, and thank you to Radio Zindagi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. And I thought today is going to be an interesting show, and a lot of people are going to be tuning in. So I'm going to begin by first asking Amitabh, since you're awake in India, what is your take on nepotism? I mean, this whole thing, I'm sure India is going as crazy as we are here about what has happened with Sushant Singh. What is your take on nepotism?
See, when we talk about nepotism, it's nothing new. It's something which has been prevalent all across in every sphere of life. And I personally feel there are both the dimensions to it, the positive and negative. It depends on the context in which we are talking about, the familial favoritism that we are talking about. If we talk about in a context which is being a buzz, India is a buzz with the triggered by Sushant Singh's episode. Yes, what we are talking about is more lobbying than nepotism. I think people need to understand the difference between these two concepts as well. And when we talk in terms of industrial context, we have history. When we talk about Walmart, when we talk about Ford, they were the family enterprises, and which have been transferred within the family. We never call that nepotism, but so in that context, we find a lot of advantage of the relationship and the legacy being transferred. But when we talk about, in the context of various other industry, in the employment context, when we are talking about, the favoritism definitely leaves a lot of psychological impact on the people who are affected by it. And one of the biggest, my take on this is when we talk about nepotism, here also that old saying is applicable: there is no free lunch, it comes with a price. So somebody who's favoring someone is definitely compromising somewhere with the quality, somewhere with the progress of that organization itself. So probably somebody is willing to compromise those aspects, and that's where we need to preventive about it.
Thank you. That was a very well explained. Thank you so much. So we're going to get everybody's opinion on nepotism before we get into the real discussion. So, Ina, what are your thoughts on nepotism? Do you think it's mainly in media and entertainment, or do you see this always also in the workplace?
No, I totally echo Amitav. There are two sides to nepotism, and to understand nepotism, maybe we can categorize that in three phases, right? It has some good effects on small businesses like family-owned businesses. We've always gone to the mithai store next door that is run by generations. They have the recipes, they know the know-how of it, and that really works well. And families like to always work together. So they would definitely want their kids, their family, children, parents, everyone working together in a small business environment where it has its own positive sides. Then when you come to international companies, large corporations, it is somewhat tolerable because, you get the son into being the senior position, there is demotivation, but it has existed and it has its own, advantages as well, and some disadvantages. So it's a mix in the international corporation environment. But when it comes to Bollywood particularly, and that's the topic today, it is absolutely a negative impact, because what ends up happening, this being a talent-based industry, if you're favoring someone, you're obviously discouraging or discriminating another person with talent. But I wanted to actually address the fact that nepotism in Bollywood is encouraged by people like us, because we start following stars so much. We start obsessing with their kids, whatever they do. Like tomorrow, if Shah Rukh Khan's daughter is going to go do a movie, everyone who loves Shah Rukh Khan is going to go and watch. So we can't really blame the producers for, giving them a chance, because the producers are there to make money, and they're making money off these kids who's already got some sort of priority and promotion, and they're already famous. So the producers in this case cannot be fully blamed. We are to take the blame because we have obsessed with their kids. Now, that has its own, drawbacks and its own negative, and it is very rampant, because in Bollywood what also happens is nepotism is combined with corruption, which gives a very bad sauce. Corruption and nepotism, when you combine that together, you have the worst sauce possible, and that's what we see today.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ina. And I think some people may have misheard maybe my pronunciation was not right, and I meant to say Sushant. If anyone heard me say Shushank, no way. I love Sushant too much. Okay, I said his name, Sushant. So apologize if you heard me wrong. It's my English, African, and Punjabi accent all made in a khichdi mix right now. So moving on to you, Sunny. You've done TV serials. You've done 2 feature films, and they were in India, right? I assume they were in India. So did you face anything? I mean, I know it's very hard when someone new or a new face is breaking into the industry, especially if you don't have the so-called godfather there. What's your take on this?
So a couple of things. One is that I didn't face nepotism, but favoritism exists everywhere in the job. In Bollywood, I saw that in the auditions as well. Not even for the project, but even for the auditions, uh, the people the director knew beforehand get to audition beforehand. They don't have to wait, but people who are like in the general category, they have to wait with the whole crowd. And in this particular case, Sushant's case, I think what happened is that after his passing, people were talking about mental health. Then I think after Kangana's video, people, the whole discussion shifted towards nepotism. And I don't know where it came from. And people started talking about nepotism. And to your point, and to I think Ina's point, is that nepotism is everywhere. But I think in places like Bollywood, politics, movies, it's okay because it's democratic. You cannot make politician win an election by nepotism. You cannot make a film hit by nepotism. But it's not okay in places like being a pilot or a doctor. I cannot just make my son a pilot just because he's my son. So that's where I think that the line is. Democratic places, it's okay because we still have the power. Other places, it's not okay.
But when you were in India, do you felt it was more favoritism?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's and also given the number of people there are in India, like when I go to auditions here, even if you're nobody, people don't know you, it's still there's a respect there. There you get a number, you get seated, you get called. It's everybody's kind of same. In India, it's literally a cattle call. Like you're there, dressed up really well, but you're like sweating because there's five different people around you. There's no room. They will not call your name in the order. They will call the people who they know from beforehand. So it's a lot. It's rampant.
Yeah, it's rampant. Thank you so much. Ekant, your thoughts?
Hi, Renu. Thanks a lot for having me on this show. Well, I have some really strong opinions about nepotism here. First and foremost, the thing that comes to my mind is that nepotism is a universal phenomenon, and it emerges from your psychological tendency, as Mr. Amitabh mentioned, towards favoritism. And this has been there since the evolution of the human race. But as the institutions mature, by institutions, I mean things like Bollywood or a company, nepotism has to take a backseat. I'll give you an example of a big firm. If you have a big firm which is listed on the stock exchange today, it is not possible that it is a father-owned or a son-owned company. There is a CEO who comes from a lot of stakeholders, from the board members who appoint. And this is the kind of dissolution of nepotism that I'm talking about. However, if you come to a specific example of Bollywood and politics, both of them, but I'll focus on Bollywood first, there are no checks and balances here. As Sunny mentioned, you cannot make your son a doctor, a pilot, or an army person simply because you want to. There is a rigorous check mechanism. The doctor has to pass an entrance exam. He has to qualify in the examinations. The pilot has to have those learning hours. You cannot just decide on the fly and make them a pilot, a doctor, or anything like that. But in politics, as well as in Bollywood, you just come unannounced. Okay, I'm going to launch my son. There was a very famous example in the 90s of Fardeen Khan. Being launched by Feroz Khan. I think that was the beginning of this entire thing, where an underqualified individual who could not even express his emotions properly was suddenly launched in a big budget film. You know what I'm talking about? And this is something which has continued. And I think I fully agree with Ina Sarkar's points here, that we as individuals are so attracted to some big personalities that we take it in routine that their kids will become good actors and we would love to watch their movies. And we are the ones who are providing the demand. Karan Johars are the one who are providing you the supply. Now, as long as there is demand, there would be supply. But I must mention before I close my comments, there have been some remarkable examples where people have stood up to this thing. Kangana Ranaut is my favorite actress. She has not only stood up, she is the only woman to have a feature film in which there is no lead male cast, and the film has grossed over 100 crores. People love her. People love her talent, and we are becoming more and more sensitive to this issue of nepotism. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. In actual fact, somebody has put a comment in our chats that on your note about Fardeen Khan being launched when he had absolutely no talent, somebody wrote that Abhishek Bachchan, Sangeeta Shukla, thank you for this. Abhishek Bachchan may have had exposure for the first break because of his background, but his talentless soul, poor guy, made it clear that despite a star's kid, you will not reach anywhere if you don't have talent. But my point on that is maybe Amitabh is not into nepotism so much. Maybe he didn't push Abhishek and realize his son didn't have talent. Whereas you do have some other people that will keep pushing their kids. Sunny, you're laughing. You have something to say to that?
So my point was that, what Ekansh mentioned, having like a criteria for like doctors to get in. Artists cannot have that, and we cannot do that. Then you're getting rid of the art. You're making it a process like anything else. And I can give you examples of nepotism which are really good. Raj Kapoor, Rishi Kapoor, Anil Kapoor, so many people. And nepotism also where it did not work. Abhishek Bachchan, probably Kumar Gaurav, Kamal Sadana, Imran Khan, Uday Chopra. So I think there is already a checks and balances in our shape, who we promote. So that's what I think. Nepotism can work, cannot work. They only get the first break based on nepotism.
Thank you. So moving to you, Nazneen, what are your thoughts? Let's hear your views on this.
I have been waiting for this chance. So thank you so much for letting me join the call. And just observing the conversation and the way it started, please excuse me. I don't mean to personally point out to anything, but you just had a little familiarity with yourself and Sunny. And you said, I've worked with him and I know him. For me, nepotism is also about knowing somebody, knowing there is thing that I can work on, and think about Amitabh Bachchan's house. Every single day, there are millions of fans standing there. Think about Karan Johar's office. It must be flooded with talent. How is he supposed to filter and know there's everybody is coming to Mumbai with dreams, aspirations? There is Kangana Ranaut who talks about all of this, that, nepotism is going, I slept on streets. I'm sorry, she is buying a big house for herself, making a big office in Mumbai, having a big, house in Shimla. She has her sister voicing opinions about everything. Who is her sister? She's a nobody, but because she is Kangana Ranaut's sister, she has an opinion about everything and comes into news. That there is nepotism right there in her family. Okay, talking about talent being launched by Karan Johar, if you know somebody and you know somebody has been working hard and trying to, like you've seen them growing up and always telling you, I'm working on this, I'm working on that, I'm working very hard because I want to be launched by you or whatever it is. He's giving them the opportunity, but he's not necessarily giving them the hard work that they are putting in. They have to work. I literally tried to record one single video for Radio Zindagi one day, and I couldn't imagine. It's so difficult. It is not easy to meet the expectations that people have from you, because you're a star kid. You have the pressure of your parents' success. You have the pressure of your audience already. Even though they don't know you very well, they've never seen you acting. There are people who are crazy about pictures for Suhana Khan. Why? Because she's Shah Rukh Khan's daughter. So for me, I feel there is a lot of pressure right there. And I personally feel there is nepotism every single industry. And as I said, if you're a doctor, an army, you still have to go through training. And so is the case with every single thing. Any work you do in life, even if you just want to be a literal normal housewife, you want to be like your mom, you have to work hard. You have to work hard to do and be anybody. So that's my opinion about nepotism.
Thanks a lot.
Well, I wanted to say something to Nazneen on that point. Yes, of course, they're working hard and they're getting ahead, but they already start, way ahead of the other people. So the disadvantage of someone starting new is so big that when Karan Johar is working with Shah Rukh's daughter has already been, leaps ahead. So we can't really say that, it's the right thing to do, because they also then try to sabotage somebody who's trying to come up. So the sabotaging works alongside with nepotism. So that's what happens in the Bollywood industry, and Karan Johar does that. So when you're sabotaging another person, like he didn't let the Pani movie come up because of, he wanted to put the money in some Star Kids movie, that's when it becomes corruption. That's when his ethics come into play. And it's very easy for them to do that because they have all the power. We give them too much power.
And
So
for me personally, I do, sorry to interrupt you, Ekansh, but I do want to answer to this, that at the end of the day, everybody is here to make business. I'm sorry, but this is not some charity that they're doing, and I'm sorry about this, but I feel like this industry or any other industry is all about money. This is not some social organization who's just trying to make careers for people. he is also personally investing money in his movies and he wants something in return. So if he already has a set of audience who is excited and already kind of liking pages and advertisers to a certain thing he is going to invest in, then I also feel like everybody is looking out for themselves too, right? I mean, I
Okay,
could
but
be wrong
people
Can
there.
I
with
add a point
power
here?
So, hi
also
everybody. That's, yeah, I know everybody's getting a little emotional over here.
need to adhere to responsibility.
Yeah.
Responsibility comes with power. So it's not always going to be all about money, and that's when you're going to get into discrimination. Because if you use your power only to make money, there itself you are encouraging corruption, because it cannot be always about money. There's responsibility.
Yeah, so my point on that is, I mean, Nazneen, and I will move on back again to our panelists, but my point, we have a lot of comments coming in. But my point on that is that there's nepotism is one thing. I mean, I run a business and I want to pass my business over to my children. I mean, why would I pass it to some random person? I have my daughters that I would want to pass it to. So I don't consider that favoritism because I'm passing it in the family. But if I were to, let's say, launch a movie tomorrow and I knew that my child was not an actor, I would look outside the door. Now, this is where the favoritism comes in, is when you're, as Sunny mentioned, when you go in and you audition for, for the role. If I were to not give a chance to somebody who I didn't know and pick somebody that I did know. But I think nepotism becomes an issue when you try and sabotage people's lives. And that's where I agree with Ina in terms of that is, even in Sushant's case, it's all the movies that they try and the contracts that they try to take back from him. Nepotism is going to be there. So Akansh, really quickly, we'll go to you and then we'll move to Amitabh. So yes.
I have a very important point, a very quick point that I would like to make here. Everything aside, when people like Karan Johar openly write an editorial, and in that editorial piece, they say, where can I go and find good kids? Because I don't find beautiful faces outside of the star kid families. This is a written statement. It has come up in one of India's leading journals, which I will not name. That's the problem. That's simply targeting millions of people, and I'm sorry to take name like Nazneen, who support people like Karan Johar and just hide behind the idea that everything is about money making. I'll cut short my point here.
So a quick point, and we'll go to Amitabh. Somebody has written, Sunny Bindra, thank you. I know Sunny. I don't feel that we are talking about the issue. It's much more beyond nepotism. It's about bullying, ego trip, and teaming to bring someone down. And then he's also written that there's a difference between nepotism and systematic dismantling. There's a difference in just favoring up or teaming up against someone and going after someone. So Amitabh, your thoughts on that?
In fact, that's exactly the point I wanted to make, which you read the audience viewpoint. We have to understand and differentiate with few things. One is competition, competence, nepotism. When we are talking about nepotism and supporting and favoring any individual in the family, if there's a, the problem is if somebody is connected to a family and also is talented, even then it is perceived as nepotism, right? And that is something where we have to differentiate. And what Nazneen was trying to point out, make a point a little while earlier, that someone who's making that investment also should have a choice to decide what that individual feels is competence. Yes, I agree with what Akansh said, that a generic statement by Karan that that he's not finding any talent, of course, is a reflection of his biased state of mind. But then that cannot. But when we are talking about Sushant Singh, it should not be looked at only as nepotism. It is we have to understand that there was no relationship connect because of which Sushant lost all those movies. There must have been some other personality issues or relationship issues or interpersonal issues that people may have had, where their egos may have been affected, which has led to the lobbying that the media is talking about. We don't know what the fact is, which led to lobbying. And that lobbying and the bullying that has taken place should not be equated with nepotism. And that is where we need to differentiate between nepotism, bullying, and lobbying as well.
Thank you. Sandhya Gautam writes, if you don't watch lousy movies, untalented stars will not shine, nepotism or not. But Sandhya,
but Amitabh, I wanted to just add a little bit to that. When you're saying that bullying is the result of what happened to Sushant, I mean, I feel that if he had a lobby, which is a product of nepotism, then he would not have been bullied. I mean, everybody could not gang up against him if he had connections. So,
Anna,
so in this case, nepotism gave birth to bullying.
And here, right now, the kind of media buzz which is taken, of course, as Sunny also pointed out, that probably the Kangana gave a name, nepotism, the way she has come up forward. After that, probably the Pandora's box. There are two lobbies right now working. There is a anti lobby and there is a pro lobby right now. So what are we talking about? So it took one death for people to suddenly become very opportunistic and trying to settle their own personal scores at the moment, gunning towards people, because you can't force someone to give an opportunity to them. And so
That's
in this
my
whole
point with
context,
Kangna.
it
Yeah,
is
sorry
not
to
about
interrupt. Yeah.
nepotism. It is about people who are coming with a counter voice also are also very, very opportunistic at the moment. And that is where my problem with these voices is.
Sunny?
I think, first of all, I think we're still speculating on what happened to Sushant based on tweets from people like Amitabh mentioned, like opportunistic tweets that they're making it about themselves. We have no clue what happened to him, why he committed suicide, right? So that aside, and coming back to the point of nepotism, I don't think it's about giving chances in the movies, but I'll give you a live example, and that I experienced in my feature film Babru that just released in December. That it's not about you getting a chance. Anybody on the screen right now can make a movie. The biggest problem that you will actually get is releasing it. Nobody will pick up your movie, and it's a very well-known fact in Bollywood is that theaters give preference to big stars. Even not even us, even the B-listers in Bollywood are struggling to find theaters for their movies. That's the topic that we could be discussing, like with Sushant's death. It's all speculation. And what Ekant said, Mahesh Bhatt said the same thing during Ashki 2 audition. So it was an audition which was open to everybody, online audition. I gave the audition too. And at that time, it was decided that top 10 will be called for a physical audition. I was number 5 at the time, and they decided that, what? Nah, let's scrap the audition and we'll cast Aditya Roy Kapoor and Shraddha Kapoor. And the statement, Ekansh, to your point, that Mahesh Bhatt gave is that, we did not find any good faces in the millions of people who actually auditioned for that. So I think that's where the problem is, because there's other things underlying this thing, not necessarily nepotism.
Thank you on that. And Samir Karkani, you've written that we are all speculating. We don't know Sushant. I actually began the show by stating that, yeah, absolutely, we're all speculating like the entire world is, and none of us really are in a position to make a decision of really what happened with Sushant, but this is just a general discussion where everybody can share their views. So clearly we're not speculating. We're not in a position to make that decision. Yes, Akansh. Unmute. Okay, no problem. Yes.
So I have a quick point. I fully agree with the two gentlemen here. The point that I want to make here is I want to clarify my stand here. Let's not Sushant Rajput, with utmost respect for him as an individual and condolences to his family. We have to understand that there were many other things at play, I believe. There was a very big spectrum that has been completely ignored by the media and by people who are using this as an opportunity. And maybe we can have a different show about it. And that is the mental health crisis. People cannot just decide one fine day and kill themselves, So even because you have examples where people have been facing this nepotism, for example, I'll take Kangna's example. She is my favorite actress. She's been there, gone through a lot of hell, but she didn't commit suicide. So let's separate these two issues. And I think we have to draw a line here that although Sushant Singh's case was a wake-up call to everyone jumping into this conclusion, I agree with Mr. Mohan fully that people on both the sides have used this as an opportunity to showcase their viewpoints. Let Sushant rest in peace. We don't know what was wrong with his family. But coming back to what Mahesh Bhatt has been doing, as Sunny just pointed, there is one other example that I would like to quote here. When Kangana finally decided not to do the typecast neurotic roles that she was being offered by Mahesh Bhatt, there was at one point she had asked Mr. Mahesh Bhatt that why can't your own daughter do these roles as she is growing up? And Mahesh Bhatt did not have any reply at that point of time. Simple reason is that because not only these people don't want their kids to look neurotic or stuff like that. I mean, what I'm trying to say is their Bollywood typecasts you very soon. So they don't want their kids to land up in soup like Alia Bhatt. They waited for a proper channel, a proper place, and a proper time to launch her, and did not just rush with any other movie. So many questions here, and I'll give it back to Renuji.
Thank you. So I'm going to read a few comments of all our listeners. So we have Sunita Raj, another RJ from Wages in the Gee. She's written that, in my opinion, every single person, including us, are part of nepotism. Alia got her debut big banner film because of nepotism, but later on she proved herself through her acting talent. And it is us, the audience, who've approved her. So her point is nepotism can give the star kids only a break, but they can only survive if they're talented. Going back to Samir, he brings up a really good point. Thanks, Samir Karkani, for participating so well on our forum. He writes that we don't know Sushant. And Seba has continued by saying, people spend, when we have a movie like Manoj Bajpayee and a Salman Khan movie, we'll go to the theater to see Salman Khan movie, but we'll watch Manoj Bajpayee and Nawazuddin on Amazon and Netflix. So the movies we spend are the ones with the big stars. We are the people dictating this. So as Ina said, Taimur, for example, Karina's son, why does he have such a huge following? Because he's Karina and Saif Ali's son, right? Why don't we do that to, I'm not sure why Aishwarya's daughter doesn't have such a huge following. It's strange, can't figure that one out. But going back, let's move away from Bollywood a little bit. What about nepotism in the workplace? Favoritism and sabotaging in the workplace. How is that in India, Amitabh? I'm curious to know how effective that is.
It is definitely not something we can say is unfamiliar space. Nepotism and favoritism is part and parcel of the corporate world, and people in the workspace. It is quite we hear it now and then, and we're experiencing it. There are a few factors that here that we need to analyze and look into when we talk about nepotism at workplace. Number one. People who are, there's an element of trust. I already know a person, right? And if I know that, we go through a selection process, the question is, how good are these selection process? How foolproof are these selection process? Now, if I know someone who's already competent, why do I need to go through those hassles of, the selection process when I already have? We talk about headhunting. And if headhunting is okay, and if the selection of the right person is done, I think everything is fine. The problem comes when somebody who's not competent and is given the space, and that is where the opportunity for someone else is blocked who could have delivered. But now comes the element when we talk about workplace. It's all about return on investment. So someone who's in the position of authority, who's indulging in this favoritism, also has to bear the cost. Because if he takes an incompetent person in an employment, right, his own agenda and the work objectives are not going to be met because he has recruited and employed an incompetence in his organization. But so that is the problem with the organization. But then what happens is the other people working in that space, even if there's a competent person taken, right? We always feel that because they are related, hence there is a nepotism, and it leads to a lot of dissatisfaction, and that causes problem in perception of people.
Thank you. Nazneen, I know you were very passionate about what you were saying right from the beginning. I'm going to go back to you. Go ahead.
And my opinions and views are extremely different from some discussions that are happening. So please excuse me, but I feel like this is the platform to voice your opinions. So
Absolutely.
Going back to opportunities so Aishwarya Rai and Sushmita Sen are a group of girls who so Aishwarya had a head start because she was a model and, she was there. And Sushmita was literally nothing. She just competed in this pageant. And if it is your talent and if it is your hard work, you can take over even somebody who's been in this field for a while. So she just took over and, she won that Miss Universe contest, and she was the one who actually competed for that. So my point is that getting that opportunity and head start is definitely an advantage you have, but you have your talent, and you even including the Ambani brothers. There was Dhirubhai Ambani who gave over to Anil and Mukesh. but there is a difference between the two and how they're actually operating their businesses. So for me, nepotism, giving opportunity, everything is there, but your hard work can never be taken away from you. You have to work hard no matter what, and there are going to be millions of opportunities. As a person, you have to be there at the right time, at the right spot, and you have to have that persistence to grab your opportunity. For me, it's up to you to get it. You go there and you get it. So, I mean, it's difficult, I know, but you cannot give up on your dreams. You have to fight. This world is there, and you have to keep fighting, and you will get what you deserve. So that's just something very different, very simple, but basic strategy. So
thank you.
Just to add to what you said, context for all of us to review is we are talking about someone in the family getting an advantage, the first chance. After that, it's all about competence. Now, let us also, I'm trying to draw an analogy. There are people, we have haves and have-nots in the society. Some people can afford higher education from a very prestigious institution, which are very costly. And there are certain families which can afford that exposure. And there are others who cannot. Are we going to talk about bringing equality there as well? So if my dad has is doing well in the world, and that becomes an advantage and I can capitalize, what's the problem in that?
Thank you. Ina.
Yeah, so I feel to Akansh that it's not really about Sushant that we want to talk about nepotism. This is a chance for us to vent out on an issue that was oppressed and suppressed for a very long time, and a lot of people have suffered. I know working hard, there is no option than working hard in any industry. But why we want to keep this topic alive, and thank you, Remy, for picking up this topic, and that's why I wanted to talk on this, is because we need to address this. And now there is already a wave, right? Some shift has already happened in the industry. Now people are talking, everyone's got a voice. We need to keep going with this so that some change, some shift can happen. So newer talent, like there are Radhika Apte, for example, is an amazing actress not getting any break. Those kind of actors now come, in the limelight, and we don't go on this nepotism rampant for over a long period of time. So I like the shift that is happening. And I say again, it's not about Sushant. It's about addressing an issue that is, killing Bollywood. Such horrible movies are coming out of horrible actors with great stories. So we need to change that for our sake, for us to watch good actors, for us to enjoy good movies. We need to change that.
Thank you. Actually, Praveen, I want to make a comment on what you've written here. He's written, lack of audience for good content, rush to see shirtless heroes with no talent. Come on, Praveen. I'm one of those people that likes to see people without shirts. Hello. Anyway, Sunny, your thoughts on this. My question to you, Sunny, is after having your experience in India, where you've seen that and now you're here, what would you say to the young actors out there that want to go to India, who are saying, I want to have a big break in India? What would your advice be to that? How thick-skinned do they need to be?
So two things. First of all, I think Radhika Apte is getting a lot of work. She's done over 50 projects. So I'm not sure what Ina is saying, that she's not getting work. She might not be in the big budget movies, but she's
the big budget. Yeah, that's what I meant.
But how does that matter? Again, it goes back to what media is feeding us, 100 crore labels. Right?
If you follow Radhika Apte's interviews, Sunny, you're going to see how frustrated she has been over nepotism for a very long time and the struggle that she's gone through.
So I'll answer, thank you, Ina. I'll answer, Renu, your question is that, I mean, it's personal experience. So when you start out, I'm talking from my own point of view, you have this thing, I want to do something. But the reason why you do something, especially in this line, is very important. If you do something for fame, if you do something that you'll be next Shah Rukh Khan, if you do something, hey, I'll get so many girls, I have fan following, I don't think that's the right reason for you to be in this field, because this field is not how it looks like. You should be in this field if you like to do what you want to do, because I started off making my own short films. I didn't know what to do. I spent my own money just because I loved it. I did a lot of theater. Theater has no commercial value at all, but I did more than 50 plays. So I want to tell people that if you're going to do it, just do it. Don't wait for somebody else to give you a chance. Do it for the love of it, and just start yourself. Even if it's small, you have such good phones now. You can make your own short film with your phone.
Honey, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Renuji. So just one thing, I feel like if you definitely are in this industry of fame and entertainment to have fans and following. Of course, you do want to do your talent and put it out there. But your talent, if it's not recognized and loved and followed by fans, then I don't know if you feel encouraged. I mean, there needs to be some encouragement. I'm not saying you're doing 100%, but you do need that fan following and encouragement too. So
Nazneen, the word talent is very subjective. Because it's a art field, you cannot define that this guy is talented and that's not. Like if I give you two actors, it's what you like, but you cannot judge them based on any scale of talent.
Can't you have your hand up? You have to keep your unmute. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you're muted again.
You're muted again.
Unmute again. I need to make a very quick point here. And sorry, I have this knack of being very talkative and being very disruptive. I'm trying really hard to be restrained here. If you have followed Bollywood long enough, you would know that Bollywood always had two streaks. One was the parallel cinema, which has unfortunately died down. That was the cinema where people like Smita Patil, without any good looks, could come and act and still get fans. I have to make one point very clear here, that the current state of Bollywood that you're looking at is a star-driven phenomena. It's not an acting-driven phenomena. You can look at the crappiest movies and you go there just for the stars. You can have talks with people where they would be saying like, oh, that's the next release of Shah Rukh Khan or Alia Bhatt or whatnot. Let's go and watch that. So in case you really want to stand out, I really don't know what will you have to do to stand out in the Bollywood that is existing today. If you really want that kind of achievement, if you really want to showcase your talent and stuff like that, they won't let you. Write it down on the wall. You cannot become a mega star in Bollywood today until and unless you have links, and you can work 80 years back to back as hard as you want, work another life as hard as you want. You will not reach the place which Alia Bhatt reaches just because Karan Johar gave her that first chance, which you think is a very normal thing. Like she had all the other opportunities to showcase her talent. That first chance makes all the difference. It makes or breaks a person. And people like Sushant Rajput, I'll just take his example. He has never been properly nominated in the Filmfare categories as well. Have you seen his movies? Do you think he's that crappy an actor? No, he was not. There is this nexus. There is this bullying nexus, as Mr. Amitabh pointed out. You have to stand up to this and you have to start these changes. Start these changes with yourself. Do not support these Bollywood actors just because you think they are great actors.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, Ekansh. I just have to say one little point to Ekansh. My point to you is that I'm sorry, but there is a lot of opportunities for movies like Bareilly Ki Barfi. It was a very sweet movie with just not many stars. Movie, it worked. Rajkumar Rao has had very success. He's not taking his shirt off. He's definitely not that star kid, and he's nothing to do with the Bollywood dancing and singing. So, you know, there are opportunities for movies that have good stories. Even Ayushmann Khurrana is a nobody from nowhere, and he's had all the best movies in the last few days. So I'm sorry, there is opportunity for both. It's just the audience, you know, viewpoint to change and watch that kind of movie. So I feel like, as we said it at the beginning.
So really quickly, guys, I just want to quickly make a point.
There are exceptions, but the reason we are talking about all of this today is for that one reason, that people who are struggling, let's give them an opportunity. And that's what it is all about.
How many people, Ina?
I agree.
How many people? There are millions of people every day in Bombay.
Right.
Millions.
So,
but Sunny, does that counter a point from you that if there are millions of people who are looking for talent, then it is just obviously good to select people whom you know and make them go in the movies? Is that what your point is?
Who are the superstars? Who are the superstars?
So, guys, just really quickly, one of our listeners has pointed out, which is a good point. Apurva Chakravarti, thanks for this. She's written that, you know, there are many star kids that have been rejected. She wants to name some. Abhishek Bachchan, Arjun Kapoor. I don't know why she said Arjun Kapoor. I think he's great. Janvi Kapoor, Sikandar Khair, Suraj Pancholi, Tushar Kapoor, and Yashvardhan Kapoor. She says so many star kids.
Sanjay Kapoor as well. Even Sanjay Kapoor didn't do that.
Uday Chopra, Imran Khan, Amir Singh, and just one very quickly, the biggest stars that we've had in the past, in the last thing, have been outside the industry. Shah Rukh Khan, Akshay Kumar, Ranveer Singh. They're outsiders, right?
It's just the outsiders who actually come inside and make it an insider's job. That is what the entire problem is now.
No. Point is, you said they cannot make it big. They did. Now, if you have talent, you will make it big. But
no, but then are you saying there's no nepotism?
Amitabh Bachchan made it
Are
big.
you saying
No. Don't
it's
confuse.
done?
There are two different eras, man. There was an era when Bollywood was still evolving. People could just jump in from anywhere and make themselves big. This is the new era where people are actually those insiders who were outsiders once have become insiders now and are pushing back on the other outsiders. That is the problem.
Okay,
Yeah.
friends. So everybody's getting very emotional here. Let's Shant. Okay, friends. So we have a few more minutes as we start wrapping up. So I want everybody to give some closing statements as you wrap up, because we want to make sure everybody has a chance for doing that. So a couple of people, most of the biggest points that are coming out of the comments here is, as Ina had stated right from the beginning, we're the ones that run and watch these movies. And as somebody else mentioned, is sometimes when you get a movie like Manoj Bajpayee, we'll watch it on Netflix, which is true. I wouldn't run to a theater to watch Manoj Bajpayee, even though he's super talented, but I will go to watch Salman Khan take his shirt off on the big screen. I'm
Me too.
guilty of that, yes. So it's actually, as Ishita Bhattacharya has said, it's us, the people. We're the ignorants, and we're ignorant ones. We're the ones that need to make the shift in the industry. We're the ones that need to make this change now that the wave has started. So moving on to you, Amitabh, as we go around the circle, closing points as we wrap up.
Thank you, Renu. It's been really enriching listening to all the point of view. And I would like to point out that we need to look at the perspective that when we are talking about equal opportunity, can we really apply it into every sector? We are talking about Bollywood, that some people getting opportunity and others are not. Let's apply the same logic to industry. Can we really say that you buy from every shop every time you go to the market? You cannot. We are talking too much in the ideal context, and we need to be pragmatic about it. And there is a competition, and we need to be resilient about taking that competition and make a growth out of that. And the current buzz which is there, I've somewhere written 2 lines, and being in India, I would like to say it in Hindi. I hope people will be able to understand and appreciate. उम्मीद कसमसा के प्रश्न चिन्ह बन गई, नारों में डोलने लगे मेरे शहर के लोग. Right? It is our frustration of not getting opportunity is the voice that we are hearing in the media and the buzz which is there. The voice is not against nepotism. We are bringing every possible issue under the same the tag name of nepotism. We are bringing the bias. We are talking about lobby all under the one broad concept. But when we are talking exclusively about nepotism, we cannot have a generic point of view. Because it's about competence, it's about opportunity. Yes, familiarity does give us an opportunity at times.
Thank you so much. Ina.
Yeah, I kind of echo him. I think let's not make nepotism a negative, all along negative word, because it does have its advantages of, trusting family members to run or, take the dynasty forward and all of that. Whereas in Bollywood, it is bad today is because of all the bullying that is coupled with nepotism. And that's what we have to take the responsibility, and we have to raise our voice, because if we people don't support something, it cannot last, because people are much stronger than the industry, right? So if we people, all of us together, make a point and try to stop this, I'm sure it would not last forever. And that's the whole idea today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Sunny.
Thank you, Renu. A couple of things. I think you also tried to steer the discussion towards corporate. So very quickly, it's all about human greed. Even locally, we see that staffing companies put fake resumes to put their people in there. So at the end of the day, it's about money. It's about greed. And like Amitabh was saying, there is no equality. You pay more, you get into first class in an airplane. You go into the fast track lane because you have paid more. So there's no equality as such. Coming back to Bollywood, Sonu Nigam raised a point that his songs are being dubbed. He's raising his voice because he's being affected, but he was the one who was dubbing Kumar Sanu and Udit Narayan songs early 2000s. And all I would say is that it all starts with us. So if anybody's listening, all I would say is we should not blame anybody. We should not spread fake news and not bully. That's all we can do. And क्योंकि अमिताभ जी ने एक शेर बोला, तो I will also say कि उम्र भर गालिब बस यही भूल करता रहा, धूल चेहरे पे थी और वो आईना साफ करता रहा.
Am I meant to say
wow.
Yes, really quickly, somebody has brought in a very good point, actually. Sandhya Gautam has written that nepotism is a new fashionable word. if Kangana has fought the system by starting her own production house, then why didn't she give Sushant movies?
I agree.
She said, why didn't she give it? Isn't a family part of the business? Is that not nepotism? Moving on to you, Akansh. I know you're so passionate about this. I can just see it.
And Kangana.
Yeah, I have no second thoughts about it. If Kangana decides to, if she's looking for a groom, I'm up here. This is the kind of
Make sure you need to put that on YouTube. You need to put that on YouTube.
Lots of best wishes, Akansh.
Thank you. I just have to summarize the entire discussion. First of all, it was such a lively experience. Mr. Amitabh Mohan, Ms. Seena Sarkar, Ms. Nazneen Sheikh, Sunny Moza, Renuji, and Radio Zindagi.
Come on, the only one that got G at the end. You may just age me 20 years.
Okay, Renu, it was such a nice interaction. After having discussed these points, it was a revelation to me and a little disappointment that we as individuals still have a soft corner for nepotism in Bollywood. Like, after having this entire discussion, like, we still want to say that people getting first chances is different. Working hard to make their mark felt is different. I really want to tell you one thing, that first chance is that make or break thing for many people. If that first chance was given to someone who is hardworking, is good enough. But if it is given to someone else and a hardworking person was actually lost, that's not good enough. And regarding hard work, I just have to make one comment. There's a very famous quotation, I don't know who to attribute this thing, that no one ever worked hard to fail. You know, we have all worked hard to succeed, but you don't always get that success. And let's look at ourselves and how we play.
Yeah, let's be the change. Let's be the change. We've talked all about this. Let's be the change. Nazneen.
Okay, so I do want to say something again beyond the discussion, that whatever happened with Sushant Singh Rajput was very heartbreaking. And just a message to all our listeners and anybody out there, if there is a difficult time in your life, remember, it is time, is going to pass away. Life is big, huge, beautiful. Beyond this, there is love. Somebody always loves you and cares for you. So if you ever need help to reach out to someone, please do. And remember, time is going to heal. It's going to pass. Life is precious. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. That's a beautiful message. Wonderful. And before I wrap up, I want to thank everybody. It's been a wonderful, very passionate panel, here. And our audience has been amazing. We have so many comments. I can't even get to all of them. So I'm going to wrap up. And my last question will go to Amitabh. And we literally have 2 minutes, Amitabh. So I know here we have so many movements going on right now here that we got enough to deal with here. But in India, people want to know, we've had this discussion. Do you think change is going to come, or is it just a discussion and now we'll have a new topic in a few months?
No, definitely change is going to come, because it's, something that was in the subconscious has been brought to the conscious, and the debate is on. So it definitely is going to rub off on people. People are going to be relatively more cautious in the times to come. And that's what my perception about the whole thing is. And Renu, with your permission, I would just like to voice, being a psychologist by profession, friends, sure. In the context, I'm really very worried about the kind of impact this particular media frenzy has had about Sushant's episode. And that's where I would like to make an appeal through this platform of Radio Zindagi. Friends, if you have a worry, if you're stressed, if you have an issue, you are worried, it's better to reach out to someone you can trust, a confidant in family or a professional. And talk to them while you still can, because it is better to live in peace than to rest in peace.
Thank you. That's
so
a
talk while you still can.
And you know what? There's a light at the end of every single tunnel. There's always a new day. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Renu. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. And next week, another topic. Yep. And have fun at the beach, Sunny.
All right. Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.